Anyone who knows anything about nutrition knows that protein is a vital nutrient. Without it, we cannot thrive. But what about IBS? Are there protein sources that we should be avoiding or perhaps definitely eating to support gut health? I may have some surprises for you there, so keep watching this episode in my 3-part series on macronutrients, this one about protein, the main building block of the body. I am Anna-Kaisa. I'm a registered dietitian and a yoga teacher, and I specialize in IBS, and I have researched IBS for hundreds of hours and put all my findings into my program AKWise, so that there is a place where you can find all the pertinent information you need to know about IBS in one place. So what is protein? Protein is truly an essential nutrient, yes. There are 20 different amino acids that we need every day, and 9 of those are ones that we absolutely have to get from diet. The rest we can make out of other amino acids. Protein has so many functions in the body. It's a building block, and muscle, bone, all connective tissue is made out of protein. But also enzymes, some hormones, neurotransmitters, and even the little proteins that form tight junctions between epithelial cells in the gut are made out of protein. The recommended daily allowance is 0.8 grams per kilogram. And if you think in pounds, just divide pounds with 2.2 to get kilograms. You might need more if you exercise a lot or if you have some chronic illnesses, and also older adults need a little bit more protein, at least 1 gram per kilogram. IBS, even though it is a chronic disorder, does not increase your protein needs. To make sure that you get enough protein, let's use the plate method. In the carb video, I already mentioned how carbohydrate should take about 1/4 of the plate. The same goes for protein. Protein should fill about 1/4 of the plate or of everything you're eating on that meal or snack. It's not going to harm you if you miss a meal or snack here and there. But if you have higher protein needs, I would definitely make sure to have protein every time you eat. With high protein needs, it might be better to fill 1/3 of your plate with protein instead of 1/4. Most people get plenty of protein in their diet, really even more than they need. But if you are unsure, just follow the plate method and include a good protein source on every meal and snack. This way, it's almost impossible to not get enough protein. If you are vegan or vegetarian, getting enough protein is slightly harder, but definitely very doable, and protein powders are rarely really needed. It's quite easy to get your protein intake checked with the help of a dietitian. Foods that are considered high protein are meat, chicken, fish, seafood, eggs, dairy products except for butter and cream and things like that, legumes like beans, lentils, tofu, soybeans, and also seeds and nuts. I recommend choosing a lot of plant sources and less processed high-fat proteins, especially red meat. Fatty fish, seeds, and nuts are excellent sources of essential fatty acids, so including those in your diet on a weekly, if not daily basis is a great idea. Nuts are great as a snack, and seeds go great on oatmeal or yogurt for breakfast, for example. I will talk more about nuts and seeds in the video about fats. Variety is key, and I recommend switching up the protein source on every meal and snack. But be mindful of the portion sizes, especially with protein sources that are also high in fat. But that's the nice thing about the plate method. If you follow that, you probably won't overdo your protein source. I have a video on what not to eat if you have IBS, but I don't believe that you should be cutting out a food entirely, especially if you like that food, unless you have an allergy or something. So if your diet is otherwise pretty balanced, you can easily fit some things like bacon in your diet on occasion. Here are some special mentions. I do recommend you to eat some beans, lentils, or other legumes on a weekly basis, even though they are considered high FODMAP foods. If you're not used to this, then I recommend you to start with a very small amount and increase slowly. Otherwise, you might get some of those gut issues that commonly happen when you eat beans and lentils and things like that, like gasiness and bloating. This is the reason why most people with IBS especially avoid beans and lentils. But because of these FODMAPs, they're actually really important to include in your diet in the amount that you can tolerate. In addition to legumes being rich in fiber that feed your friendly gut microbiota, they are also rich in vitamins and minerals like iron and magnesium, and also antioxidants. And legumes are connected to a lower risk of most chronic illnesses like diabetes. The starting portion could be as little as 1 tablespoon to start with, and then you can go from there. Gluten is a protein found in wheat, barley, and rye that a lot of people believe you should be avoiding if you have any gut issues or IBS. And yes, if you have celiac disease, a strict gluten-free diet is absolutely necessary to treat that disease. But for IBS, the evidence is actually not clear at all. And at the moment, I cannot recommend you to avoid gluten to ease IBS symptoms. In fact, following a gluten-free diet could be harmful rather than helpful. I have written a big blog post about gluten, and I recommend you to read it if you are at all considering cutting out gluten from your diet. So what about dairy? Some people believe that milk products are inflammatory, meaning they cause inflammation in the body, and that we are not meant to eat dairy products as adults. A pretty recent review saw that milk products are probably more anti-inflammatory based on 15 scientific articles. Dairy is also a really great source of calcium, and the protein in milk is of high quality. Yogurt and kefir and other fermented dairy products can be easier to tolerate, and they also are full of probiotics that can support gut health. So what's important is to get enough protein. That is the first requirement. But after that, go for a lot of variety on a weekly and even better daily basis. This way you get that protein, but you also get the unique nutrients and other benefits from each protein source also. Your gut microbes love that, especially if you include those legumes, beans and lentils, and then nuts and seeds in your diet on a weekly basis. Some protein sources, like those legumes I've been talking so much about, but also gluten in whole grain, are often recommended to be avoided if you have IBS. But it's not that protein that is the problem. It's more the fiber, those FODMAPs, that are the problem and can cause or aggravate symptoms. But even then, I wouldn't really recommend the low FODMAP diet or to avoid these foods. If you'd like to know why, go watch this video, and you definitely should if you're thinking about trying the diet. Also, if you'd like to know what carbohydrates are best in IBS and how fiber factors in the IBS equation, here's a video for you. But IBS management is rarely just about diet. If you are serious about waving goodbye to IBS symptoms, the AKWise online program is your next best move. More details are in the description. All right, that's it for now. I'll see you in the next one.